Hey, yo, I want to talk about, well, actually, Innistrad. See, I'd already written the script and recorded the audio for a follow-up video to my box opening of Double Feature, link in the description. Not a continuation of that video, just some thoughts I'd been mulling over on the plane since opening a few of the cards. But I had to stop when Mr. Hands contacted me because a parcel had arrived. And upon not particularly close inspection, it appeared to be from Zatu Games. They'd reached out to me a month or so ago and said they wanted to send some gifts to different influencers, whatever that means. And I let them know that they were free to send me something, but I'm not taking sponsorships right now, so couldn't promise anything they sent would actually feature in a video. And that these videos are my opinions, so they wouldn't get any input or review. Zatu Games are a UK games retailer. I know most of you are in the US, so if you're interested, I checked and they do ship internationally. But they don't just sell Magic product. They sell all sorts of things, from board games to miniatures to video games. There's a section on their website just for Lego. So first, I don't like to count my chickens before they've hatched, meaning I wasn't sure they were even going to send me anything in the first place. And second, I couldn't be sure if they did send me something, what it would be, or if I would want to make a video out of it. Like, hey, Zatu, I assume you're watching. I see you're selling the books for that Alien RPG. If you want to gift them to me, feel free. I will not make a video about them, because that's not what this channel is. But I do want those books though. That game looks sick. And I'm not above accepting free shit. Anyway, my point is, I didn't expect to be delaying the video I was halfway through working on by a week. And once I saw this package, I didn't know what would be inside. So imagine my delight when Mr. Hands opens the parcel and I get to lay my eyes upon a fucking sealed box of Thunder Junction. My dudes, zoom in. Okay, Zatu Games, you had my interest, now you have my attention. Let's jump back over to your website. Yeah, look at that. This is some gift. So thank you very much, Zatu. I'm going to put a link to this page in the description below. But again, while Mr. Hands looks the box over, I want to reiterate, Zatu are not a sponsor. That link is not an affiliate link. I don't work for them. I don't work with them. I'm not getting any money from them, and you shopping with them doesn't support me in any way. I said they were free to send me stuff, but that wasn't in exchange for me making a video. This is a 100% Red Bobcat production, and I'm not even going to talk about Zatu as a company, apart from to say that they've blown my socks off, I guess. So yeah, I just want to talk about the set. So let's do this. Mr. Hands, crack that box. Okay, well, what's that? Take that out for me? Scan here to discover the coolest cards. I guess that's for alchemy? What's on the back? Oh, it's a list of the draft archetypes in the set. I'd be interested in how that mount mechanic plays. Maybe I'll build a deck around it. But enough about the insert, show me the box. Gorgeous, look at that. 36 packs in this one as well, so a proper box, unlike that double feature I opened. I've said it before, but there is something magic about physical product. The digital game just doesn't capture this experience. I like the colour scheme of the packs as well. Though I do miss the days when boosters would have a variety of art on them. Nothing against Oko, of course, it's just a little uniform. Getting Mr. Hands here to do the obligatory tamper checks. Paranoia, I know, especially as the box came sealed from a retailer, but it never hurts. And there they all are. God damn, look at them. Glorious. I want to open every pack right now. But let's just start with one. Mr. Hands, if you will. I hear there are some amazing pulls in this set, and a lot of high demand reprints. Now, you can tell what the foil is in the pack. There is an obvious gap due to the bend in those cards, but honestly, that's not that bad. I wonder if it's because the foil isn't the last card in the pack, flattens it out a little bit. That foil is Daring Thunder Thief, by the way. But wowza, that's actually hard to get across in the image that Mr. Hands is showing us. But that foiling is gorgeous. And the card quality is amazing too. It's only a common, but again, wow. And yeah, look at that. Practically straight as an arrow. Okay, Watsy, you have done well here, no complaints. Mr. Hands, would you kindly move everything over to our sorting table, please? Thank you very much. I think today what I'd like to do is imitate the experience that you and your friends might have if you bought one of these boxes for yourself. So to do that, I'm going to open up 12 packs, then attempt to build 4 draft decks. That's 4 40-card decks, akin to what you might build during a draft or pre-release. And to mimic that kitchen table feel, I'm going to say that every card I open is valid. So that means I'm not going to worry about legality or the ban list. If I open it, it can go into a deck. Okay, Mr. Hands, let's see our 12 boosters. Beautiful. God, this is the exciting bit. But we've already opened a booster earlier, so let's start there with pack 1. Okay, so here we have our 6 commons. These are our uncommons, this top left one being the any rarity wildcard inclusion, that just so happens this time to also be uncommon here. Our rare or mythic, a breaking news card, our foil, the land of the pack, and the token, which, let's face it, I'm not going to mention again for the rest of the video. And there's already a lot to talk about in this pack. There's that foil again, Daring Thunder Thief. I've spotted that Mobile Homestead, which is a vehicle with crew, a bit like Mount, but is seemingly designed for a Mount deck, so that's interesting. I could talk about Loan Shark and my feelings on the nature of pun cards that are a play on words, but instead, my spotlight card for this pack has to go to Vengeful Townfolk, for 2 different references that it's making. First, its theme and mechanics clearly make this a cousin to Unruly Mob, an interesting Innistrad card that I've talked about a few times in the past on this channel. And the second reference comes from the flavor text and the mention of the Sterling Company, a fictional mercenary group that seemed to be an in-universe analogy of the Pinkertons. A very interesting comparison for WotC to make. Still, on to pack 2. And if you're looking, there is a clear spotlight card here already. But first, I want to appreciate that full art land. These basics are actually gorgeous. This is a good looking set. Secondly, I want to look at that failed fjording? purely because if you read the flavor text, you realise that this card is a reference to the Oregon Trail, a notoriously difficult classic video game. Almost as difficult as it is to read the name of the card. But no, obviously, the spotlight card is Jace Reawakened. I'm still sort of passing my feelings on the whole Jace was Ashiok thing, not even from a narrative standpoint, but I feel like maybe this was a decision brought on because they just wanted to use up all the art they'd already previously commissioned. I obviously don't know that for a fact. It's just a lot of the cards from this set seem like maybe the art was made for a different set on a different plane, and then they just painted cowboy hats on people to make it fit. The Jace was Ashiok all along thing feels like such a weird choice that I wouldn't be surprised if it came about from a necessity of having to tell a story with the art they already had available. Oh, we can use this art that has Ashiok in it, but Ashiok isn't in the set. Let's just say that it was Jace shapeshifted and then be done with it. Weird, I'll mull it over some more. Anyway, on to pack 3. And I'll try not to take forever on every pack, otherwise we'll be here all day. Oh, and hey, look, there's that Seize the Secrets I was just referencing. But yeah, obviously, for this pack, the spotlight card goes to Mana Drain. Now, I'm not an MTG finance type, so I don't really care about resale value, but even I know that this is an incredible pull. A counter spell that ramps your next turn for 2 mana? Gnarly. Good to see it get a reprint. Pack 4. We got a Dual Land. Good for deck building even when we're only in 40 cards. But the spotlight card for this pack has to go to Canyon Crab, because crabs are the best creature type in the game. And what a pretty one he is. Orange and blue doesn't scream Wild West at me, but I do really appreciate the colour scheme for this set. Every card is just a delight. Pack 5 and... oh, we have another Dual Land. But the spotlight card goes to Bonnie Paul and her cow Bo, a reference to Paul Bunyan and his ox Babe. Now, I had to look it up because I was going to repeat a statement I made during my Assassin's Creed video, link in the description, that basing cards on real people I thought was a bit weird. But it turns out that Paul Bunyan, not real. So, okay Bonnie, Krum is in this set somewhere and he's just a 2-headed stand-in for Frankenstein's monster. If I'm okay with him, I guess I'm okay with you too. Welcome to Magic the Gathering, I imagine we will never see from you again. Pack 6. And the spotlight card for this pack is, can you guess? You know how I feel about Innistrad, look who's on the table. But no, the spotlight is Servant of the Stinger, because you can't predict me, and I think that bioluminescent scorpions are cool. Plus this is a fun, if a little overcomplicated, tutor for 2 mana, very nice. Pack 7. Well, god damn, that's twice now I've invoked a card's name and then opened it almost immediately. I guess the spotlight card for this pack has to go to Crom Violent Cacophony. Not quite as interesting as his original printing with the partner mechanic, and I don't know why narratively he's come to Thunder Junction, but okay. I guess I can't talk about him and then not pick him. Pack 8. We have... holy cow, and another Dual Land. But the spotlight for this pack is Roxanne, Starfall Savant. Because when she enters or attacks, she creates a meteorite. which as we all know is a pretty good mana rock. And wait, she's a cat? In red? Is someone at WotC watching my channel? No, it's just a coincidence, right? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hey, like and subscribe while you're down there, just like the WotC designers did when they watched my Mana Rocks video. Insert the X-Files theme tune here. Pack 9. And wait, what is that? Hang on, I'm gonna look that up. It's a reprint? How have I never heard of Hypothesizzle before? You know what? This is my spotlight card for the pack. Was this card named by rappers from the 90s? Hypothesizzle. Wild stuff. Pack 10. Big fan of murder. No, you can't. You got to show the card on screen when I say that. Yeah, thank you, God. People will think I'm mental otherwise. But the spotlight card for this pack is Step Between Worlds, mostly because this card depicts an omen path, similar in design to the one that we saw in the art for Open the Way, with people stepping through it into Thunder Junction. And this is a dumb thing, but if you look at the bottom right of the card, you can see people who haven't stepped through yet. And they're already wearing hats. So this isn't like a Bloomburrow thing where people that travel to the plane are supposed to change to fit in. No, all of these people that we see wearing Stetsons have chosen to put them on. It's only a tiny detail, but it's one of the things that I rub up against with the flavour of this set. I don't understand why Marchesa, for instance, would choose to dress that way. It's odd. Anyway, pack 11. And, oh no, okay, let's just get this over and done with quickly. I said I wasn't going to mention them again, but I guess I lied. The spotlight card for this pack is the fucking art card. You'll get it if you're familiar with the channel. If you know, you know. Just go easy in the comments, okay? Right, now, let's move on and forget this happened. Pack 12. Oh look, another Jewel Land. This one in foil. And I was sorely tempted to make the spotlight card Memory Vessel. If you're unfamiliar, the text is wrong and needed to be errated before the set was even released. And amazingly, if you look at Gatherer, Wizards' supposed official card database, the Oracle text still hasn't been updated to reflect the errata. So I guess you'd have to read the official release notes for the set to know. Oh yeah, a thing I'm sure that everyone does. But no, that aside, the spotlight card for this pack is actually Lava Spur Boots, purely because it's a reference done with subtlety, which is the best way to do it on a card in my opinion. To the song, These Boots Are Made for Walking. And with that, that's our 12 packs opened and a big stack of cards to build with. Mr. Hands, would you kindly sort them into colour piles for me, please? Wonderful, and if you could now tidy them up. Thank you. Okay, let's start off by looking at our lands. 4 Jewel Lands, 1 for each of the decks perhaps? Though, if I'm being honest, I'm eyeing that Bucolic Ranch, as it's for a mount deck. Before I make up my mind, let's see those colourless cards. Nothing here really impresses me. I mean, again, outside of maybe that Mobile Homestead. Because it works with mounts. I've got them on the brain. Okay, now show me the multicoloured cards, please. Didn't get a card for all 10 colour pairs, that's interesting. But there are some good pulls in here. Right now, rapid fire. Show me green creatures. Green spells. Red creatures. Red spells. Black creatures. Black spells. Blue creatures. Blue spells. There's both that mana drain and the Jace card, very interesting. White creatures. And finally white spells. Oh, not many of those at all. Okay, you know what? Show me that insert again. I keep talking about it. What colours did it recommend for the mount deck? Oh, green and white, interesting. Okay. I think I'm going to just start there, get it out of my system. And following my own advice from my How to Draft video, for 40 card decks I want about 17 land, 15 to 18 creatures, and 5 to 8 other spells. To start the green-white mount deck, I grabbed that Ranch and the Homestead, but also both of the green-white cards that I pulled. The Gryph is a mount, so that's perfect, and the enchantment acts as both ramp and removal, so yeah, sick. In it goes. For white creatures, I picked, well, of course, all of the mounts, like Bridal Bridgehorn here. But also, Outlaw Medic as a cheap multi-use card to either saddle my mounts, or Chump Block, which would gain me life and draw me a card. And the rest are flyers, like Holy Cow, which have evasion, always good, or can saddle a creature for not that much cost. I only picked 2 white spells because Saddle as a mechanic will want a lot of creatures in the deck, and both of those spells are Steer Clear, a mount-themed removal card, basically made for the deck. For green creatures I picked, well, all of the mounts, like Rambling Possum here. To be honest, there wasn't that much more thought put into it than that. Additionally, 3 copies of Giant Beaver is also nice because I know I'm likely to draw it in a game. Playsets are always powerful in a 40 card deck. It would be better if it was slightly cheaper, but it's still a 4/4 that dishes out +1/+1 counters, so I can't really complain. For green spells, I picked Tornado for removal, and cycling in a pinch I guess, and 3 copies of Tumbleweed Rising. This isn't a tokens deck, but having a lot of creatures to saddle my mounts might be useful. And that's it, this is my green-white mount deck, easy as that. Mana curve looks good, deck with a 50-50 split in colours always has their ups and downs, but I think I may try and stick with it for the other 3 decks, that way in the hopes that they'll be balanced against each other. I guess we'll see. Next up, I picked black-green, because I wanted to include some of the green cards I hadn't picked for the mount deck. I did draw this dual land, which is nice, and these colours include Innistrad's own Old Rotstein. He wasn't my spotlight card, but I have picked him here. Looking at him and Badlands Revival, we're clearly looking for a graveyard-focused deck, so okay, that gives me something to build off of. For green cards, I picked things like Patient Naturalist, which self-mills, in line with our graveyard focus, but also spotted cards like Outcast Trailblazer, which seems to care about creatures with power 4 or more entering the battlefield under your control, and Vaultborn Tyrant, which does the same thing, so okay. It means I also added in some creatures like Cactarantula here, Jesus, which have a power that meets the requirement. Expensive mana cost, and the deck's a little disjointed so far. I'll try and counteract that going forward. For green spells, I picked Rise of the Varmints, which cares about cards in the graveyard, and Dance of the Tumbleweeds, which can be used for ramp, but is here because it can also create a bunch of creatures with power 4 or more if needed. For black creatures, I picked cards like Treasure Dredger, which creates treasures, something I'm going to need if I want to offset this mana curve imbalance. Cards like Desperate Bloodseeker, which can self-mill feeding our graveyard theme, and some big boys like Ambush Gigapede, which have 4+ power, so are strong, but again expensive. For spells, I picked Murder, because removal without restriction is always nice, and Fake Your Own Death, which will make my big boys even bigger when they attack, and create a treasure to ramp, and bring them back when they die, triggering any 4+ power ETBs again, and returning them from death like any good graveyard deck should do. How do you feel I did on this one? I feel like if the mana curve was just a little bit lower, it would be okay. I'm worried it's not focused enough though. Let me know in the comments what you would have changed to make it stronger, or if you think it's fine as it is. Next up is black-red, because I wanted to include some of the red cards I hadn't picked for the graveyard deck. I did draw this dual land, which is nice, and these colours include Laughing Jasper Flint, a creature that exiles cards from the top of your opponent's libraries and then lets you cast those cards. Very fun. We also have At Knife Point, which cares about assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. So, okay, picking creatures will be easy. For black, I did just that. Nezumi Linkbreaker is a 1-cost that creates another mercenary when it dies. And we also managed to get 3 copies of Vault Plunderer. That draws us a card. I like this deck very much so far. For black spells, I picked Mourner's Surprise, which brings back cards from the graveyard and creates a mercenary. And also Rush of Dread. Not for any kind of deck synergy, but because it's gross. Opponents sacrifice half their creatures, discard half their hand, or lose half their life? Jesus, okay. For red creatures, I did much the same again, with notable inclusions being Mind Raiders, which creates a treasure token to ramp us, and Rodeo Pyromancers, which, when we cast our first spell each turn, also ramps us. Nice. For spells, I picked Scorching Shot for removal, cards like Demonic Ruckus, which buff my creatures, and Take for a Ride, which steals a creature, making Jasper proud, I'm sure. And that's the deck. I'm pleased with this one. I don't know that it's any more powerful than the other two, it might just be that red and black are colours I enjoy playing with. And to be fair, this might be the sort of thing that I'd have looked to draft myself had I been playing the set. Finally is blue-red, because I wanted to include some of the red cards that I hadn't picked for the Outlaws deck. I did draw this dual land, which is nice, and these colours include Innistrad's own Crown. He was my spotlight card, so I've picked him here. Looking at him and Slick Sequence, we're clearly looking for a spell-focused deck, so okay. And we also have Hypothesizzle, which I think is a funny name, and is an instant, so fits the theme so far. This time I decided to start with the red spells instead of the creatures, because as we all know for rules purposes, creature cards don't count as spells when you cast them. I picked cards like Highway Robbery for the card draw, Brimstone Roundup because like Crown and Slick Sequence it also cares about casting multiple spells, and Thunder Salvo, a removal spell based on how many spells you've cast in a turn. All of this is working together very nicely. I went light on creatures but opted for utility like with Magda, which ramps, helping us pay the cost to cast multiple cards in a turn, and Iron Fist Pulverizer, which cares about how many spells you've cast. Synergy, I love it. At this point I'm going to take a look at the blue creatures first again, because I think enough time has passed since I incorrectly stated that creature cards don't count as spells when you cast them, meaning that everyone who went to immediately correct me in the comments has probably finished typing by now. Yeah, I was obviously wrong when I said that. Sometimes you just gotta farm engagement, you know? Anyway, I picked cards like Razzle Dazzler because A, awesome name, and B, it cares about, you guessed it, the number of cards that you've cast in a turn. Also, Harrier Strix, which is a cheap little 1/1 with evasion, but low enough cost that you could cast multiple in a turn. For spells, I obviously picked Jason Mana Drain, they're good enough to go in basically any blue deck. But I also picked cards like Archmage's Charm for the card draw, and Step Between Worlds, which lets us shuffle our graveyard into our decks, giving us a chance to recast all of those cheap little spells. And that's the deck. Blue and red spells is always a fun combination. It's interesting to see how they've managed to make the creatures feel a part of that strategy in this set too. Often blue-red spells matter archetypes barely want to run any creatures at all, so this is a nice change. But yeah, that's all 4 of our decks. Which one would you want to run? Which do you think is the strongest? Which do you think is the weakest? Spread them out, Mr. Hands. Beautiful work. God, and I have to mention again, the card quality. WotC has really knocked it out of the park in this set. Paper Magic is still king. Thank you again to Zatu Games for sending me this box. I may in the future do another video opening up more packs from it, and probably try to build a different type of deck. Do you enjoy these types of videos? Let me know. If you want to check out Zatu yourself, like I say, they do ship international, the link is in the description. Again, not an affiliate link, not a sponsor, just some cool people that sent me some stuff that this time I decided to cover. My videos are my own, and I'm not currently taking sponsorships, so I won't promise that I'll make a video about everything that gets sent to me. But hey, Modern Horizons 3 is coming out. Have you seen them prices? Jeez. Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you to everyone that supports me, like James Diamond, Eggboy the particle that permeates all existence, and the rest of my patrons whose names are on screen now. I'd also like to thank the sponsor for this video, me and my Patreon page, where you can get your name credited on screen too. Check it out in the link in the description below. Hit the like button, leave a comment, install an ad block, and most importantly subscribe and share this video with a friend. Hit the notification bell, make sure it's turned to all, and do all those things the algorithm loves. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, or you want to see me do a video on another subject, or you want to see another box opening, let me know, and I will see you next time.